Hey, Rifters, welcome to the show. Subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend. Very excited for today's show. First of all, I just want to say I did a little, I want to call it a comedy special, but it was just a segment that I did for Rosie Tran Presents. And, Rosie gave, I don't know, 30 or 40 comedians 10-minute spots, and she made little shorts and stuff, and then she interviewed all of us, and it is now out on Amazon Prime. So if you have Amazon Prime, check out Rosie Tran Presents. I think I'm episode 5 or 6. So yeah, support that, purchase that, and support Rosie. And I just wanted to say, Rosie, if you're listening, thank you so much for putting me on that and giving me a chance and stuff. And I love you very much. Other than that, go to shows at keithreza.com, follow the Instagram, and follow the backup just in case the Instagram doesn't come back again, Duh, Keith Reza. Very excited to have this guest on. He's an actor. He's also a writer, so I'm very curious about that because I love talking about writing. But you've seen him in Spin City, you've seen him in Arliss, you've seen him in Instant Mom, you've seen him in Hamburger Hill, the second act. Michael Boatman is going to be here, and I'm very excited to talk to him. So, this is a perfect opportunity to subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend, and follow us. Write those reviews. We got to get them. We got to get them up. The producer always says, got to get them up. I feel like I'm a pimp trying to tell you guys, got to write those reviews. Write those reviews. All right, excellent. All right, guys. Hey, but seriously, do me a favor and enjoy Reza Rifts with Michael Boatman. Coming up next.
From Hollywood, California, welcome to Reza Rifts with your host, Keith Reza.
Hi, Michael Boatman. How are you?
Hey, fine. Now that I finally got here, I was having trouble with that link that my agent sent me, but I finally was able to make it work on my phone.
Oh,
Sorry,
awesome.
sorry about that, Keith.
No worries. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I would have done this earlier, but I had a dentist appointment.
Yep.
And I don't know if you've ever been to a dentist, but they're pretty scary.
Yeah. It's not my they're not my favorite doctor to visit, but
Yeah,
uh,
I
once a
had
year is enough for me.
oh yeah. So like she's examining my teeth and she's saying I have to get my wisdom teeth pulled, right? And
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my God." And so I'm trying to crack little jokes because I'm a stand-up comedian. I don't like awkwardness.
Oh yeah.
So she's like, when we schedule this in December, this is what's gonna happen. I was like, oh well, can I keep my teeth so I could put them under my pillow because some girl gives me money? And and Michael, she didn't laugh. So I'm like, oh my God, this is
Oh.
so I'm like, telling jokes at a funeral to a dentist, you know what I mean?
Oh man. Oh man.
So I was driving home and I told my lady friend this, because I have insecurities, and she said that dentists secretly have like the most troubled job, like they're very depressed and they have high suicide rates and they like get off on pain and stuff. And
What?
yeah, like she's really smart. So now I'm thinking I don't want know if I even want to get my teeth pulled. You know what I mean?
Wow, now that I think about it, Keith, I did have a really weird encounter at a dentist in LA like many years ago, but it was so strange. I'm not even sure that I can say what happened like in in polite company, but
Yeah.
if you want, I can tell you the story and
Please do, because I find this so bizarre.
okay, many years ago when I was on, I think I might have still even been on China Beach, so that's a long time ago, obviously. But um, I had just moved out here to do that show from New York, and I needed a dentist. I needed, a doctor, a dentist, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I find this dentist. I don't even know how I found this guy. I don't know if he was on like the Screen Actors Guild website. I don't know why I chose this guy.
Right.
Other than that, I think someone I knew must have gone to him or something. But anyway, I go meet the guy. He's in
Yeah.
LA.
Yeah.
And they're, normal, other than, first of all, the first thing, of course, I immediately noticed he had a really bad toupee, which,
Really?
is just never a great sign. It's like, oh man, but just really bad, like, one of those comb over type,
Yeah.
like 70s deals, right? Like, I don't even know what this guy probably was maybe in his 40s or late 40s at the time. Anyway, but I go in. A rug's a rug, no big deal. I go in and I sit in the chair. And he says, "Oh yeah, you need a cleaning, and you need this, and you need this. Great." And I go, "Great." I sit down, and he's looking in my mouth, and he's the kind of guy that like cracks jokes, and he thinks, oh, he's got shtick.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're a comedian,
Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
and he's like doing sort of just corny stuff, but I think he's trying to make me comfortable, but I'm like, I'm good, dude, just do whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
So he's doing the thing in my mouth, and because I got my mouth open like this and back, he's going, "Oh, I see that," and "Oh yeah," and I had my wisdom teeth taken out, I
Okay.
think, before that, right, all four at the same time. It's like, "Oh, I see someone took your wisdom teeth. Oh, I need. Can you help me out here? I don't have enough hands or something like that. Can you just hold this for me?" So he sort of gestures like he wants me to hold something, and I go, "Oh, sure." And I think he's going to hand me an instrument or something like that. Now I'm there. I'm like, mouth open, and he just slaps this thing into my hand, and he goes, "Oh, thanks a lot." And I look down. It's a huge pink dildo.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah,
That is so weird.
dude. I went, ugh. And he went, "Oh, sorry, I had the wrong thing." Oh,
Oh my God.
bro, I never. Oh, I just like to break the ice with a little humor. What?
Oh
And Keith, don't get me wrong. This thing was enormous,
yeah.
and it was. I mean, it wasn't even the. It wasn't even. It was a fake penis. Really,
Right.
it wasn't
Yeah.
a dildo like a. It was literally a big pink dong.
Oh my God. It
And
makes.
yeah, I- and this thing had to be 18 inches long. I just sort of flopping all over the place. And
Yeah.
I sat there and I was horrified. And he was like, "Oh, it's just a little dental humor there." What?
That is
So,
really odd, Michael.
dude, I wish. I mean, I finished with the cleaning. I got my ass out of there so quickly. And of course, I never went back to that guy. And I think he even called me. Now, think about this. This is way before. This is like back probably in the late 80s, maybe early 90s. Had to have been before Spin City. So it was like in the early 90s. And I think about today, like, I could have made phone calls.
Yeah.
I could be in a whole other tax bracket at this point.
When that happened, did you think to yourself, "Oh, thank God I already got my wisdom teeth out"?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Exactly, right? Can you imagine if I had actually gone unconscious and woken up with that in my hand? I mean,
Oh,
look, it would be hilarious if it happened to somebody else. I mean, but it happened to
right.
me, so I was horrified. But that actually happened. You ever have those moments where you just kind of deal with it in the moment, and then later, maybe even years later, like today, I am with this. It's like, wait, that really happened. That
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, but I like how we could like now, like in the moment when it happens, it probably wasn't that funny, but now it's actually kind of funny. You know what I mean?
Hysterical. Yeah, hysterical. Like, And you know what? You may be. I think I may have only told one person over the years that story. So you're definitely the first like podcaster, showbiz, person I've told. But yeah, it's hilarious. But I think now today, I mean, today, of course, the guy's office would have been shut down before,
Oh, yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
you know, before I
Well,
got out the front door. But I
well,
walked away. I was like, oh, guys will be guys. Ho, ho, ho. And I told someone that story. It's like, no, guys, that's sick. What do you mean? I go, okay, well, I don't know. He cleaned my teeth pretty well.
yeah. But no, I think that that's cool that we have a dentist story that we could share together. That was, so
It's
yeah.
true. It's true. You are the first person, other than my wife at the time, I think, to tell that story, and you know, she was
Uh,
horrified.
well,
Horrified.
I want before we talk into the acting, I actually just found this out about you, and I'm very fascinated. So forgive me because I didn't know you did this part, but you wrote books and stuff, and
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
think that that's so incredible because I write scripts and stuff, and I've always wanted to write a book, and I wanted
Yeah.
to ask you, like, forgive me because I don't know how many books you wrote, but how long does it take you to write a book, and like, how does your mind like just go into that?
It's interesting. I've written probably now one, two, four novels. One that was self-published. The other three were published, the regular old-fashioned way. Um, the very first one that I wrote was sort of I'm a horror science fiction type guy, so
Yeah.
Stephen King is one of my favorites, and he's got a great book called On Writing, you're right. And I think he says in that book, or he says something like every writer or every beginning writer kind of has a manuscript that they sort of just never pull out because it's so bad because it's the first one, and
Yeah.
I didn't know that at the time, so it took me. And I was working on two shows. I was doing Spin City and Arliss at the same time, right? So I was going back and forth between LA and New York because that's where Arliss shot in LA, Spin City shot in New York. Around that time, had I written any short stories yet? I think I'd had a couple of short stories published, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had this idea for a novel. At the time, it was an alien invasion novel because I love that stuff. I love zombies. I love end of the world type stuff and
Yeah.
aliens, War of the Worlds, all of that kind of thing. Uh, I started writing that first book probably yeah, it was while I was on Spin City, and I think it took me 7 years because
Really?
I had no idea what I was doing. I just sort of like, well, okay, well, it'd be funny if this happened, or scary, or whatever if this happened. Um, and Robert Wool, of all people, who was the star of Arliss, and
I
I'm
know
sure
Robert. Yeah.
you know Robert. For years, like I'd be working on this thing, and I'd come back to do a season of Arliss, and he'd go, "You still working on that book? That's crazy. You could, But it was just, first of all, it was a great way to sort of just, um, how would I say it? Like I took one writing class when I was in college, and I didn't really like it, and I wasn't really into writing at the time. I just sort of took it to fulfill a basic requirement or something.
Yeah.
Uh, but the very first book that I wrote was this science fiction alien thing. I think it was like 900 pages long and just full of, a lot of great ideas and all of that stuff. But it when I finally realized that I was done and sort of tried to start getting it submitted and getting an agent and all of that kind of stuff, it took 7 years, and that particular book never got published. And I think that was the one that I wound up publishing online. It's called The Red Wake. Um, but it clicked in my head because I had gone to see, or maybe, like, you remember the movie Independence Day?
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody knows that movie.
Yeah.
Um, it's my favorite kind of stuff, right? Aliens coming to do whatever they're going to do. And something about that movie pissed me off. I remember watching it and going, "Oh man, I could write this story better, or I could do something better." Years later, Independence Day is this huge hit, and nobody read my novel. But um, that was it. And in the process of learning and editing and buying every writing book that you could find, and how to, I didn't have time, in my personal life to like take a writing class. I think the first year I started writing was also the first year of Spin City and Arliss, and my daughter was born, all in 1996, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so there was a lot going on. So in my rare downtime, which mostly involved a lot of planes, going back and forth between LA and New York at that time. I wrote this book, and yeah, I'm still proud of it, and I'll probably pull it out at some point and revisit it, especially now because I'm also interested in all the craziness that's going on in space, like right
Yeah.
now around this planet right now. That the mainstream media is not talking about. I mean, there's this huge comet, flying through the solar system right now, that pretty much everyone agrees this isn't a comet. It's acting like it's being driven, and literally this should be the top news story everywhere, and the media's ignoring it. So I don't know what's going on, but it's just that kind of stuff that, like, wow. So I'm a UFO guy.
Are you really?
Oh
Oh,
yeah, yeah. I've had experiences all my life, very odd, interesting, sort of. I've seen so many things, weird stuff in the sky, poltergeisty type stuff. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So I'm a believer. I don't know what it is. I don't know what,
Yeah.
I have one friend, a buddy of mine who's like, "Oh, that's demonic." And I go, and another guy goes, "Oh, you're an experiencer." And I go, Whatever, bro. It's just life is weird, and weird shit happens." So,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Man, Michael, that's just so cool because writing a book is, I mean, acting is hard, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
because I do some acting too. But
Yeah.
writing a book, I think, is just a thousand times harder because you got to get these words perfect and you got to get
Yeah.
the story clear. It's
Yeah.
not like writing a script. A script you could like use cut twos and angle twos, but like a
Yeah.
book you got. So dude, congratulations, man. That is such a, I'm proud
Thank
of
you.
you, dude. Like
Thank you.
that's so
Thanks, man.
cool.
Yeah, writing for me kind of combines everything that I love. I've always been like a voracious reader. Even when I was a kid, I was reading stuff I shouldn't have been reading. But
Yeah.
and then of course acting, and I think initially I was drawn to writing because I've always I'm pretty good at dialogue. You might
Oh yeah, yeah.
think, might not be surprised because
Yeah.
you're an actor, and so I hear things in my head. I hear lines. I hear the way people talk and the way characters speak and that sort of thing. And so that's kind of the way I've always approached it. And then since that first one, like I said, I've had three others published at small presses, independent presses here and there, and lots of short stories all over the place, and mostly
Yeah.
mostly in that dark horror crime sort of place.
No, definitely.
Yeah, and people
Dude,
are always like, friends are always like, "But you're so affable, you're so friend." And I go, "Yeah, but I'm just repressed. I'm from the Midwest, and I don't and I don't share my feelings." So there you go. Oh.
well, it's cool that you believe in like space and stuff because
Oh.
Michael, I gotta tell you, man, I'm the same way. My grandma's dead now, but
Mm.
I believe in aliens because of my grandma. Like if you would have met my grandma, you would have been like, this bitch is an alien. Like this is just like you just so
Really?
oh my god, dude. I'm like, oh, like
Why? What would she do?
she was just crazy, like alien crazy. Like she would eat pizza with milk. Like
Ooh,
like
okay.
who does that?
Yeah. Who? Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. 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 Right off the bat, that's. Nice.
I'm talking a hot, delicious Pizza Hut pizza, glass of milk. Like,
Oh, okay. Mm.
so it's not like a cookie, you know.
No. Oh, yeah. A piece of cake. Yeah, something you'd have with milk. Yikes.
Yeah, so like just little things like that. I was like, okay, she's
Yeah.
gotta be from like Saturn or something, you
Yeah.
know.
She's clearly from Zeta Reticuli. Clearly.
Exactly. So I want you to know I'm on the same boat with you on that, man.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
I won't make fun of you for that.
Kindred spirit. Well, you know what? It's funny you say that, man, because I didn't talk about this stuff for my whole life. I mean, I've had experiences and seen weird stuff and but just stuff that you would never talk about because people would think you're nuts.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
now it's kind of out there, people are coming forward and guys who've worked on these projects. I mean, Congress has had like three huge um I can't remember what they're called, but uh, 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 committees to try to figure out because like Air Force pilots are reporting these things and submarine people are reporting them underwater. I mean,
Yeah.
so there's definitely something going on out there. I don't know if it's aliens. I don't know, but there's stuff that we're not being told. But I honestly, to tell you the truth, Keith, I think we're about to find out some pretty crazy shit has gone on.
Oh yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, we also live in a world too. I think we've always lived in this type of world, but I think now with like the internet and AI and all that stuff, we live in a world where anything is possible and
yeah,
nothing is impossible.
it's true.
So, you know, and like, you know, I kind of like to stay away from politics, but just look what's
Yeah,
going
me
on.
too.
Just look what's going on there, and then like sports and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how did the Jets win on Sunday? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Right.
it's just,
Right. Right.
yeah.
Right. I mean, I lived in New York for 30 years, so believe me, that's like I mean, I'm originally from Chicago, so I always have a soft spot in my heart for the Bears and,
Yeah.
the Sox and that sort of thing. But clearly, obviously, the Jets and I mean, and even the Dodgers win here recently. It's
Oh,
all
yeah.
but I think I don't know, Keith. I feel like we live in a world that we quite haven't been told the truth about a lot of reality here. So
Yeah.
we're living in very interesting times. That's all I
Yeah.
can say.
I mean, but I have so many questions, Michael. I'm so
Mhm.
sorry, but
Not at all,
can I
man.
just
Please,
okay.
please, not at
So,
all.
so like one of the things that I'm fascinated, and I was watching a documentary about like Stonehenge and the
Oh,
pyramids and stuff, and the truth is, we technically do not know how these were built. You know what I mean?
right.
So like my idea how these are built is in like 5,000 years from today, we come up with this thing called a time machine. I'm sorry, I did it like Doctor Evil, but
There you go. My time machine. Yes, laser. Yeah.
yeah. But you know, I feel like they invented this time machine. They went back into the past. They built all these things, and then they went back in time, and they're just watching us, laughing at us because we are fucking idiots. You know what
Right.
I
Right. Right. Right.
mean?
And
So
because that also sounds like something I would do, and obviously sounds like something you would do. Yeah, like oh look at those hairless apes. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
when I heard someone recently talk, there's all kinds of weird stuff happening in every kind of sector of like life these days. Because you talked about the Stonehenge, and there's crazy stuff going on with the pyramids right now. Like people are finding out there's like huge, mile deep caverns under the pyramids that could not have been built
yeah.
1,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago. Not by the way we and what they're really saying is that we can't do this stuff today. They c-
Oh yeah.
they couldn't build the pyramids today. I've heard so many guys say we don't know how the hell they did it.
No, yeah.
In 10,000 years ago or whatever. However, so yeah, I think we're living, like I said, very interesting times, man.
It's just crazy. All
Yeah.
right. Well, let's talk about the good stuff, Michael.
All right. Listen, and by the way, all of this you can use any of this if it's helpful or I
Oh
don't.
no, no, I will use all of it because I think it's just so fascinating. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like
Yeah.
if you wanted me to cut it, obviously I would, but I think this is just so great.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Um So I wanted to ask you because acting is very hard and very stressful as we kind of went over it, and I
Yeah.
wanted to, and you kind of brought China Beach a little. You brought that up.
Mhm.
Was that when you got that show? Was that when you felt in your mind like, okay, now I could actually do this for a living? Like, were you having day jobs before you nailed that show?
Yeah, I had done day jobs. I got out of college in 1986. Moved. I was a theater major, and did a million plays and that sort of thing. Moved to New York. No, no, I was in Chicago when I got Hamburger Hill, so Hamburger Hill was my first, sort of
Movie,
big
yeah,
job, movie job, this Vietnam War thing. I got that job in '87. Um, Went to the Philippines to film that for 4 months, 4.5 months, or something like that. Now, of course, because I'm in this film, and there's other people in the film, Don Cheadle, who's become one of my best buddies since that,
yeah.
then Courtney B. Vance and Steven Weber and from Wings and lots of.
S- I know Steven.
Oh, do you? How do you know Steven?
I interviewed him.
He's
Yeah,
he's another
he
one of my best buddies.
he's one of those guys who's like he's a guy who should have been a stand-up comedian. You know what I mean? Like he has no idea how funny he is.
I'm gonna say something that maybe I don't know if it'll freak you out, but just to show you exactly that I know what you mean. He's one of the four funniest guys I've ever known.
Yeah, yeah,
And the very first time I saw, when I was on China Beach, I think China Beach came first for me, and then Wings came for him. I
yeah,
mean, when he was on Wings. So he calls me and he goes, "Oh, I'm on the show, and it's two brothers in the airline and hangar and wherever." And I remember sitting down, Keith, knowing that the show was premiering that night, thinking, "Oh my God, my buddy's about to become a huge comedy star,"
yeah,
because he's the funniest guy I've ever met. Now, the Wings was great; he was great on it, but it never really got to the kind of comedy that he's capable of.
oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I hope no one finds that offensive, but
No, no, but there's certain shows, and honestly, I think it's probably because of the name.
yeah,
Where like I mean, if you look at Spin City, for example, that's a great show. But another reason why it was so great is because of the name Spin City,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Uh, Two and a Half Men. You know what I mean? Like shows that have a little, snack into it. And
yeah.
Wings at the time, people probably thought maybe that's a movie or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and and the crazy thing is, it was a big hit. It was on for many, 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 many seasons, but he was almost sort of the straight man on the show, which was just so ironic to me.
Yeah.
Another name I mentioned, Don Cheadle. Everybody knows him from the Marvel movies and stuff. But again, one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet, but always sort of plays the
Yeah.
straight guy kind of thing.
You gotta watch Meteor Man. He like that's when I knew Don was funny.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right. Oh yeah. I saw that movie way back when it came out, but yeah. So I wound up working on that film. I made great friends with guys who are still my friends to this day, and then I went to New York because I got this movie under my belt, and I was Broadway next kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't work for 2 years after that. So I'm in New York waiting for my movie to come out, and I'm work. I did security guard jobs. I never waited tables, which people are always kind of surprised. I did other things, namely this awful security guard job where I was I was on the midnight to 8 shift in New York City, and in a ridiculous uniform, guarding New York Telephone buildings. New York Telephone was a company that was big at that time, and I'm sure they've been taken over by Verizon or whoever is out there now. But
Yeah.
there I was, the rising star, thinking, oh my God, I'm on my way on the midnight to 8 shift with a too tight fitting uniform and a tuna sandwich at 1 o'clock in the morning, going, maybe I should have gone to law school. Shit. Um, And then, of course, in the middle of right there, in that time frame somewhere, I auditioned for China Beach. Um, and wound up getting that pilot. That would have been in 80, yes, geez, spring of 87, I think.
Yeah.
Um, and got that show, moved out to LA. I don't think I had yet gotten to the point where I thought, oh, I'm doing this, oh,
Right.
I'm I'm this I'm working. I'm an actor. I'm a professional actor. Um, it was still sort of new and weird. But little by little, my life was sort of becoming that. My friends, I was starting to hang out with guys who were also on show. You know what I mean? It was just
Yeah.
little by little, everything sort of started to ramp up. Um, and that was a great experience. There was no comedy involved because it was a pretty, heavy drama, another Vietnam era story. Um, but I think by the time China Beach wrapped for good, we lasted 3 seasons. Um, and I think by that time, enough sort of other opportunities, a TV movie here, a play there, kind of thing, started to sort of come along. And then a casting director said to me, "Oh, well, there's a great story about sort of stardom when a young actor gets to LA, or something like his agent will say, "Oh, hey, we're looking for a Brad Pitt type. Sorry." And
Right.
then how does that work? And then you get older, and it's like, "Hey, well, we want Brad Pitt. We got Brad Pitt." And then by the end of the actor's career, it's like, "Who's Brad Pitt?" I mean, and
Oh yeah, for sure.
that weird old joke. So the casting director in question had said something like, because I had gotten offered a gig. Someone just, like, the first gig I got where I didn't have to audition, right?
Yeah.
And I came in and I was like, oh my gosh, to audition. I was like, thanks you guys. It's so great for seeing me. And you know, and the casting director laughed and it's like, you're on a hit show, a hit TV show now, right? So people know who you are. And I was like, do they?
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's so when you're from the kind of, I mean, I grew up in Chicago, in the 70s, very, working class folks. I didn't have any artists or musicians or any writers or anything like that in my world. All of that stuff was just for another world. I kind of just found myself, I stumbled into it,
Yeah.
and here I sit.
Exactly. But another thing that's very interesting about you is, you also mentioned this, but you were on two hit TV shows at the same time, but
Yeah,
two totally different TV shows too.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
like, there's a difference between working with Michael J. Fox and Robert Wool, where
yeah,
Robert is a stand-up comedian, not necessarily an actor,
right,
and Michael J. Fox is an actor. And I wanted
yeah.
to know, like, what was the different styles on that, and when you're working with them as an actor, how did you like ping pong off both of them?
Wow, that's such a great question, man. Well, so Spin City, for those of your listeners uh, who remember, was multicam, in front of a live audience,
Yeah.
which was so great. We rehearsed for a week, starting on a Monday, and then on that Friday, we'd rehearse every day, all day, and on then Friday we'd shoot the show in front of a live audience. We'd have a great warm up guy. I'm sure you've probably done that gig. I don't know if you've ever done that gig, but
I did it once and I
yeah,
hated it. I
yeah,
was like,
yeah. Now I think, from what I've heard, I've heard from friends who've done it, like they either love it or they hate it.
yeah, it is so bad because you have to be so clean, and I'm just thinking, I just want to be on the fucking show. I don't
Yeah.
want to do this.
Right, 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 right. Right. And so, I mean, yeah, you got kids in the audience. You got old, pink-haired grandmoms who are pissed off. So,
And
I,
they buy pizzas, and I remember I was like, "Hey, I think we have cups of milk."
oh, see, your alien heritage came out, man. You couldn't hide it. You too are from another world. They're like, Mom, we went to Spin City. The warm-up guy was so weird. He gave us pizza and milk. What a weird show. And now I'm lactose intolerant. Um, but yeah. So, but because that show, it was a half hour multicam in front of a live audience, that was sort of a different skill set. But I was familiar with it because to me, it was just theater.
Yeah.
300 people in the audience was no different than the 300 people in the audience at a theater at the, where I went to college or on Broadway or, um, the Arliss, on the other hand, was a single camera, um, uh, uh, also half hour, but a different process altogether. Spin City was 9 to 5.
Hmm.
Got in it, started rehearsal at 9. You left at 5. Friday nights, you stayed late to shoot the show till 10 tops, right?
Hmm.
Arliss and China Beach actually had this in common, as they were both what they call single camera shows. Hours, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours.
Really?
Yeah, China Beach was so intense in terms of the production of that show and shooting on locations and special effects and helicopters and blood and some battle scenes, actually, not a lot, but a few. I think we had three, am I correct in saying 24-hour days on that show where we were just there,
Yeah.
just I don't even think that's possible anymore because of SAG and the unions and just the expense as compared to, like I said, Spin City, which was just sort of, you clocked in at 10, you left at 5.
Yeah.
But style wise, Spin City actually was a little more realistic in terms of the world that we created. It was a show about politics in New York City and a goofy mayor played by the wonderful Barry Bostwick, who was aided by his staff of you know misanthropic sort of employees, including his deputy mayor Michael J. Fox,
Yeah.
uh, who played Mike Flaherty, and then all of the other characters on the show. My character Carter, who was the head of Minority Affairs, whatever the hell that means. I guess today he'd be called head of DEI and be out of a job. That,
Right.
that's a whole other story. Um, so it was a little that show, and it was certainly sort of edgy for its time. We did some pretty um, controversial topics. Gay marriage at the time was big. I mean, Michael J. Fox and I had shared an on-screen kiss, which just sounds funny saying at this point, but yeah, because I,
Yeah.
I was trying to convince the guy a guy that my character was trying to date, that Mike Fox or Mike Flaherty was my boyfriend. So in the scene where I have to convince this potential suitor, I wind up grabbing Fox's head and giving him a big old planting a big smoocheroo kiss on his lips. And of
Yeah.
course, it was a rehearsed moment, and we knew it was happening. And Bill Lawrence, who was the genius behind Spin City, wrote this scene, knowing obviously it was going to be this big, moment, and it was. I got, people interviewed me. Well, what's it like, and how does it, and but you're straight. How do you play a gay? And it's like, oh boy. Um,
That's called acting.
uh, imagine,
Like, yeah.
imagine.
Yeah.
And whereas Arliss, weirdly enough, was kind of wilder, a little broader. It also starred Jim Turner, who was known as Randy of the Redwoods back in the '80s on MTV. That's probably before your time, but and the wonderful Sandra Oh, who
Oh, Sandra Oh is
yeah,
great. Yeah.
I'm still great friends with. She's hilarious. People don't know because of whatever she did on Grey's Anatomy all these wonderful years and all the great work she's done since. But another incredibly funny person who rarely gets to be funny. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now this next question is probably gonna like be formatted a little weird, but hopefully you understand my point.
yeah,
So like when you're on Spin City, there was a time where if you're a movie star, you're a movie star, and if you're a TV star, you're a TV star. And
yeah,
I think Michael J. Fox is the first actual star to kind of break that rule.
yeah,
And then at time it's kind of like what the fuck's going on, but he
yeah,
did it. And I
yeah,
wanted to know like it was that how did that crew like react to that? You know what I mean?
yeah. Um, I remember my manager saying, "Oh my God, this is a big deal," just for the reasons you just cited, Keith. It's like Michael J. Fox, he hasn't been around for a minute, but everybody loves him and he's America's sweetheart. And of course, the Back to the Future movies and all of the wonderful movies he did, but over all of it was, Phantom
Yeah.
Ties, of course. Um, it was a big deal. It was one of the few times that I can recall, even today, like sort of really kind of being starstruck, like because he's not just a star. I mean, and
He's a
of course,
mega star.
right,
Yeah.
and of course, in the time since, he's also now become, just a figure of obviously hope and respect for millions of people with neurological issues because of his fight with Parkinson's. But at that time, to me, he was still Marty McFly and Alex P. Keaton. And so the first day of work, first day of rehearsal, I meet this guy, and it's like, okay. I think I actually called my mom on the way to work, like, "Ma, back in Chicago, I'm on my way to work with Alex P. Keaton. This is insane." And she was like, "Just be nice. Did you brush your teeth? Just be."
Did he say, yeah, I just went to the dentist?
Yeah, exactly. My new boyfriend, Dr. Schlongenhand. Wow. Yeah. So, but he was so great, man, and I was so lucky in that all of the guys from that show, Barry Bostwick, Richard Kind, who's become one of my best friends, which is just the funniest thing to say. Alan Ruck, another guy that I've stayed very close with, who obviously everybody knows as Cameron from well, the movie that I can't remember, Ferris
Ferris
Bueller.
Bueller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So saying Connie Britton, who's gone on to do wonderful things, and Alexander Chaplin, Jennifer Esposito, just great, great actors who all went on to sort of wonderful careers. And it was just a great gig, man. It was just we just sat and sort of over rehearsals that those weeks. I always used to tell people we screw around, try to crack each other up, and then we turn the cameras on Friday night, and that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously there was more to it than that, but yeah, it was such a great experience, but it was also very different because of the fact that it was more, I don't want to say formulaic in the negative sense, but it was more, okay, we got 28 pages, 28 minutes,
Yeah.
and this is how it's, like you just said a few minutes ago when you were talking about writing scripts about, you know, the beats were sort of always the same. There's the morning meeting, and then you go into the first scene, the A storyline. What's that going to be about? And then the B storylines.
Yeah.
Whereas Arliss, it was almost like shooting a little mini movie every week, right? It was a different schedule, a different kind of schedule, many many late nights, many many 16, 17 hour days, over the
No,
course
yeah.
of those seven seasons. So yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, I'm sorry, I have two more Spin City
Yeah,
questions,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then,
No, ask away, ask away.
but so like Michael J. Fox, had Parkinson's, and he kept it a secret for a long time while on
Yeah,
Spin City. So,
yeah,
he's your friend now. You're working with him. I don't know if he told the people privately, but
yeah,
like how when he came out in public, how did that affect you mentally? Like, oh my God, now everyone's gonna like I don't want to say feel sorry or worry about him, like, but how did it like
yeah.
affect that? Does that question make sense?
It does. It does. We didn't know he had been diagnosed with. Michael got his diagnosis during Doc Hollywood. I
Yeah,
I think he was 26 or something like that when he was
yeah,
first diagnosed. So he dealt with it for a long, long time before Spin City showed up. We didn't have a clue. None of the actors had a clue about what was going on. Sometimes there would be delays in production that we didn't understand, or sometimes even during the middle of a taping for the evening, we'd stop and have a delay. Um, Never really knowing why, but you know that's what it was because Michael would have to. And what later we discovered was it was because he would have to go take his medication on a schedule or something like that.
yeah,
Um, but then his, as he's written about and spoken about in the past, his symptoms got to be to the point where he wasn't able to hide them anymore. Um, and so he decided that year that he was gonna. Oh, I think if I'm telling the story right, I think People magazine figured it out first. It
Hmm.
was People or Time. I don't remember who it was, but it was one of the big ones at the time. And they called him. They called his people, and they said, "We know this, and we're going to print this story. Would you like to talk about it before we print it?" Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Michael decided to get out ahead of it, and so he actually told me first
Really.
of everyone on the cast. Yeah, he and we hit it off really well. Michael's great, and but obviously private because he had this condition and he didn't want people to know for many reasons. And we weren't really. I wasn't noticing anything. I didn't see any uh, tremors or quavering or that sort of thing. I think they call it.
But
But
looking back now, you see the clues,
of course,
and
yeah.
that's probably the heartbreaking part, right?
Well, here's the wild thing, Keith. He told me, and then the next week he told the other castmates, and my other castmates, and then he said he told them because it was going to come out like 2 weeks later, so that everyone would find out, right? So he let us all know first, and of course, at the time he said it, he was relatively normal in terms of the way he presented, right?
Yeah.
You look fine to me. What's going on? I don't see anything, but okay. Uh, you said heartbreaking. What's amazing about his story with Parkinson's is he's so I never saw him feel sorry for himself.
Yeah.
I never saw him misbehave. I never saw him try to use any of it, whether it was his stardom, whether it was his power or his illness to sort of act up or throw his weight around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I apologize. Maybe I
No,
misspoke.
no, 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 no. No
I'm
apology necessary.
yeah.
The reason that I cited that word is because he was an inspiration. He's an inspiration about it.
Yeah.
Because that was what I thought what it was going to be. It was like, oh my God, dude,
That's kind
no.
of what I meant. Yeah,
Right,
like
exactly.
yeah.
That's that, and yeah, it is heartbreaking because you're talking about a guy that that I came to love and that the world loves, and it definitely. Oh, can you hear me? I think I screwed up my camera here. Can you hear me, Keith?
I could hear you. That's all.
Okay.
That's all that matters.
Okay, got it.
Gotcha.
So yeah, no, I chose that word. I cited that word that you used because that's what I was expecting the result would be. But he never let anybody feel sorry for him. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and in a wild way that was so inspiring. It kind of made you feel like, wow, man, the human spirit is really resilient and amazing. And I know, man, and I've subsequently seen him. I just saw Michael last summer, I think, on a project where he was producing. He's still in. He's still working. I think he may even have a TV series coming out because
Wow.
the treatments for Parkinson's have improved. But the bigger thing for me is that he's drawn hundreds of millions of dollars toward the study of all neurological disease, not just Parkinson's, right?
Mhm.
Alzheimer's, all sorts of things because of his celebrity. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind
It
of an amazing thing. This guy's
putting
helping,
celebrity to good use,
yeah,
you
really
know?
good use, and using it not only as a platform to help other people, but to sort of help other people, talk about their own issues, their own health, mental health, all sorts of things. So he's in my mind, he's a hero. I know it's tough. I know he's had plenty of dark nights of the soul, you know what I mean, out of the public eye, but he's a pretty amazing dude.
Yeah.
I've
I
been
mean,
so,
we
and by the way, I've been so fortunate with regard to my Spin City connections because one of my other dearest friends is Charlie Sheen, who took over for Michael
Yeah.
when Michael was too sick to continue, and Charlie, of course, subsequently has had, you know,
Yeah.
all kinds of wild stories, but he's similar in that regard. In that these are just two of the greatest guys I know, and not just because of their celebrity, but because of
Yeah.
who they are.
Yeah. I mean, when you were telling me how when Michael told you, like, my best friend was Norm Macdonald, and
Mm.
I toured with him, and
Keith, I know this. I know this about you. Weren't you guys? Were you guys on Howard Stern together or something like that?
I
Didn't I?
wasn't I wasn't on it, but I probably took him there, and
Okay.
yeah,
I feel like because your face was so familiar and your name was so familiar, and I was wondering when you said that, I was like, oh, I think I know this for some reason. He
yeah,
was. I never got to meet him, but obviously
yeah.
he was amazing.
And then when he told me he had cancer, like I was one of the first. I don't know if I was the first one to know, but I was one of the first selected few,
Right.
like only because he didn't tell anyone, and it was
Yeah.
just so heartbreaking because he like swore me to secrecy to never mention it. Like
Hmm.
he said if you ever mention it, we will never talk again, like all that stuff. And like when someone you love dearly says that, like it's pretty
Yeah.
serious stuff, you know what I
Oh yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So when you were telling me that moment with you and Michael, where Michael on the other side kind of told everybody, it's two different things, Parkinson's and cancer. So,
Yeah, but yeah.
but it's still just that's what I'm saying when I use heartbreaking. Like it's just it's beautiful, but then you look back at the clues and it just makes you sad because you're
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? That's what I was trying to say. Like I didn't mean any
Oh
offense or
no. And
okay.
and no, I would never take it that way, nor would Michael, because but I think you're right in that that's the normal and appropriate. These are I mean, obviously, with Norm, what happened, he passed away and Michael's life is affected, and the lives of his family and all of that stuff. But you know what, man? His son just got married a couple of weekends ago. I wish that family nothing but the best and
He's living the life, you
living
know?
the life. And he's a great inspiring guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Michael, I want to respect your time, but I have a couple more questions.
Go
Can
for it.
I?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm
Oh,
good.
okay,
Yeah.
cool. So I wanted to ask you, like, when you did the Glass Shield, because that was like your first movie where you're the star, even though Ice Cube's in it, but you're like the main
Right.
guy. Like, did that give you, because you've been on TV and stuff, and you know how to work on TV, but
Yeah.
and you've done a couple movies before, obviously, but
Yeah.
did that like give you like major anxiety? Like, okay, now this is all on me, or
Yeah.
like how did you like what did you how do you do that?
That's great. You know what? That's a great question. In that it wasn't that way because I looked at it just sort of the way that I always look at any project is what is this character?
Yeah.
How do I make this character real and human? Um, I would be lying if I didn't say, "Oh my God, there was that part of me that was like, yeah, man, this is my shot. I'm number one on the call sheet. I'm the,
Yeah.
So of course there was that part of me, but it really sort of got down to what I think an actor's job always is, which is just playing the character honorably and truthfully and giving it your all, man. Just I busted my various parts,
Yeah.
to get in shape, obviously to sort of form, figure out who this guy was. The story of Johnny Johnson is a real story based on a man whose name was Johnny Johnson, an Long Beach officer who sort of discovered this corruption in the Long Beach PD back then. And Charles Burnett, the great director, filmmaker, found this story, thought it would make a great movie, and made it. And it's one of those very strange movies where it was an independent film, didn't get huge distribution. I'm sure it made its money back, and now this is all way too in the weeds for non-showbiz people. But you know what I mean when I say all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but it's one of those shows, one of those movies that's always on. I'm stunned by the amount of people that have come up to me over the years and go, "Dude, Glass Shield, Glass Shield." I'm like, "Wow, I was in that. That was one movie 30 something years ago." But it's one of those movies that of course, you know uh, unfortunately, the issues it depicts are still all too common, and in fact, in some ways, had gotten worse at a certain point. And I think it's because of, when I say worse, I think, Keith, it's because of um, what you mentioned earlier about the internet. The
Yeah.
good, the good, the good thing to me, the great thing about the internet is that it's kind of united all of us. We all see the same stuff now instantly, rather than hearing about it 6 years later, or if there's a flood in Cambodia, or if there's a fire in Toronto. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
world sees it. And I think in a way that's a good thing, because it makes it all more immediate, and it makes it easier for a guy or a gal in Toronto to push a button on their computer and send $20 to somebody who just lost their house to a tornado. You know what I mean? It's connected us,
No.
and I think that's a good thing. It's connected us in a good way. I don't really see much of the internet as negative. Only it's like people are all afraid of AI and all of that stuff now. To me, it's always going to be about the people that are using it. You know?
Well, I mean, yeah, I agree, but I also like kind of argue to a point where I feel people, when they use the free speech, I'm all up for free speech, but
Yeah.
if you say, like, for example, a lot of things I read about myself is,
Mm.
oh, Keith Reyes retarded, and I'm not retarded. I have autism, you know what I mean? And it's two different things, and even retard is not a bad word because there is something called retardation. So when
Sure.
so when people use those words, it triggers you, and you're like, you don't really know what you're talking about, and you hide behind free speech, but you don't have the guts to say that to my face. Does that make
Well,
sense?
it makes perfect sense, and forgive me laughing, but because I didn't know that you were autistic.
Yeah.
But forgive me laughing because you have a stand-up comics just natural delivery. So
No, 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 yeah.
and you hit that word, the R word, I guess, and it's a word that in some ways, look, I have a fairly dark, not fairly, I have a pretty dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
I just I spend all this time in my real life. I'm a father of four. My kids are all grown, and but writing for me is where I get out all sort of my sort of darker impulses.
Yeah.
So when I heard you say that word, it just sort of triggered that automatic laughter for me. But have people actually said that about you?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What do you?
And
That's crazy. What?
yeah, like because in my stand-up comedy, I basically talk about being on the spectrum and watching porn. So like it's kind of like that, you know what I mean? So it's
That's right. Wait. Okay, Keith, this is weird.
yeah.
I've attempted stand up one time.
Oh, did you really?
It's a lot of fun, terrifying,
Yeah.
way scarier than acting, as far as I'm concerned. And people
Really?
say, well, why? What do you mean? I go, no, 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 no. Acting is acting. I can hide behind a character.
Yeah.
I can be that character and not worry about having to expose my real self, even though I may be using parts of myself. And while a stand-up obviously uses parts of themself as well, I think unless you're doing the kind of comedy like oh my God, who's the guy that I love? Oh, Stephen Wright, for instance.
Oh yeah,
You know,
one-liners, yeah, type thing.
right. Unless you're doing that kind of stuff, which doesn't really expose you, but every time I've ever talked to a comic, they all sort of tell me, you got to be willing to put your real self out there,
Yeah.
and that's scary. So I salute anybody that can do that.
Well, you know what the difference between stand-up comics and acting is stand-up comics, every joke they tell,
Yeah,
they've done 500, 1,000 times,
yeah,
secretly crying and not laughing. And that's what makes it funny. Where acting, you could just jump into it and you don't really care if you're crying or not. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like you're just doing, like, how many times did you tell a joke on Spin City or Anger Management, and in the moment you thought that was a really funny joke, but think about now, do you even remember these jokes?
yeah. No, no,
Y-
you're right.
You
And
know,
I guess you're saying that your stuff is taken literally from your
yeah,
real life.
exactly. Yeah. So
Wow, wow,
yes.
that's amazing. I love watching stand up. Um,
I'll send you my special when we're done.
Dude, I would love that because I know your name, and like I said, your face is familiar. I watch so much, on well, now I'm dating myself. I was going to say on Comedy Central they had the, but now it's all Sirius satellite radio. I listen to so many stand-ups. My favorite at the moment is Maria Bamford.
Oh, I love her. She's so funny.
Dude, if I ever got a chance to do stand up, it would be the kind of stuff she does. First of all, she's from Minnesota. I'm from Illinois. I I feel like I went to high school with that girl. I've
Yeah.
known so many girls like that, and she's brilliant, and she's doing that thing that you do, obviously, of putting it out there. You
Yeah.
know, um, so I know one day I'll talk myself back up onto a stage somewhere, but I commend you guys that are able to do it well.
Well, whenever I'm in LA, or I don't know if you're in New York right now, but
I'm in
whenever
LA. I'm in LA. Yeah.
whenever I'm in LA, man, you're always welcome to go and I'll get you tickets and stuff.
Oh man, I would love
Uh,
that. Where do you
uh,
work mostly? Do you all
uh,
over town, different places?
I tour with TJ Miller and Pablo Francisco.
Okay.
So
Pablo Francisco, is he the dude with the really big voice or
yeah, he has a big voice. I thought you were gonna say beard. I was like, he doesn't have a beard.
no? But like
He does so many voices. He does like impressions and stuff.
that's right. I've seen that guy. I know his name.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That's so cool, man.
yeah. So, Michael, I have two more questions. Can I ask you?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So this question, I got to pick because I actually have so many.
Yeah,
Okay.
dude.
Well,
I got time. I'm going to the gym, but I don't have a time frame. So, and I was
uh,
15 minutes late, so I
uh,
owe you that much at least.
okay. Well, I want like you mentioned how Charlie Sheen came on Spin City and stuff, and then you also worked with him on anger management. And Charlie
Yeah,
Sheen, in a way, is kind of like Michael J. Fox to the point where he was a movie star, went to TV too. So,
yeah,
like, how ironic is it that you had that city had two of those elements on Spin City? You know what I mean?
yeah, and in very interesting ways because in in a lot of ways those two guys are similar, not in obvious ways. Like I think everyone would agree, and Charlie, I talked to Charlie maybe a couple of days ago, so I don't think I'm speaking out of turn, but I think he would agree that his reputation is that of bad boy. I mean, he's the bad boy. He's the guy that's at the end of Ferris Bueller, and he's with black leather, looks like a biker. I mean, he from that moment that kid was a star. Everybody
Yeah.
remembers. Um, but inside, of course, he's literally one of the most generous spirits you'll ever
Oh,
meet.
oh yeah, for sure.
No matter what's going on with him, and I've been friends with him through a lot of stuff and witnessed him struggle, his struggles and his successes and all of that stuff. He remains literally, Keith, if you interviewed him,
I've been trying to get him. His manager said yes, and then his publicist said no. So I'm like,
keep trying, dude. Keep trying it.
I'm like, who? This
Keep
is
keep
not
trying.
gonna, you know.
Yeah, keep trying because if he hears and quite honestly, I'll drop a note for you too because he's
Oh,
great
that'd be.
and I think you he Michael and I see each other every couple of years. Charlie and I talk maybe once a month. I haven't seen him in a long time. COVID, of course, and then I've been living in New York for the last 32 years. So I recently moved back to LA.
Yeah.
But they're interesting because Charlie plays the bad boy and is kind of the softy on the inside. Mike is the sweetheart, but he's not hard, but he's very private, right?
Yeah.
And so, he wasn't the guy that necessarily would hang out with everybody. He'd hang out one on one for sure, like with me or with Alan Ruck or Richard Kind or um, Charlie is life of the party. But well, that doesn't sound. But yeah, but I mean, just in terms of like he walks into a room. I'm telling you, Keith, you when you interview him, and I'm sure you will. I guarantee you 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, if you guys ran across each other at LAX, he'd go, "Oh, Keith Reza, oh, how you doing, man? How's it going? Oh, I didn't get to see your show that night." He's one of those people that has a phenomenal
Yeah.
grasp on people, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I would love to. I mean, like I said, I've been trying, but here's something that this is gonna make you laugh about Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
So, my biological father, and I'm not kidding, Michael, he looks 100% like Charlie Sheen. So, growing up, I used to tell people, just as a joke, my dad's Charlie Sheen because he was never around, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like everyone's all bullying me. I was like, oh yeah, well, my dad's in Hot Shots and he's going.
Wow. Well, now that's funny because I will say this. I don't know what your dad looked like, but you kind of look like Emilio Estevez. I could see
Oh my god.
if you were an Estevez cousin. I mean, because that's their real name, Estevez, and
Yeah.
Sheen was taken by Martin, by their dad. But I could see it.
Yeah.
Ramon, their brother Ramon. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I could kind of see it in there.
So yeah, it was just so
You guys might
funny.
really be related.
That'd be so cool, you know what I mean? All right, so my final two questions. One I wanted to ask you, like, as an actor, because when you start, you got all the success with Arliss, Spin City, and anger management and stuff. When you're starting, you probably had fears, like in the business, like, oh, am I going to get a job? And then you got a job. But now, where everything is probably not paying what they used to pay, and streaming and all this stuff, you're getting older. The characters, most shows now only last 1 2 seasons max.
Yeah,
Like do you have like fears for you, like when you get a job, thinking, okay, how am I going to play this to make it memorable? Or
yeah.
like, does that question make any sense?
It does. I think every actor, and it's kind of a joke, certainly among actors. I'm past 50. I'm past my 50s. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Every actor, I think every actor thinks they're going to get fired every day. I mean, I definitely, pretty much for the whole run of China Beach, was waiting for them to fire me. I'm like, I know that I. So I say that to say, so as a result, you made sure that your lines were learned and you were on time and you just want to be a good boy and
Yeah.
once you get a few gigs under your belt and success and failure. I mean, things I've done pilots that never saw the light of day, right? Movies that no one will ever see. um, but once you sort of get a few of those under your belt and it begins to become routine.
Yeah.
I listen. I don't really think it's routine. I think it's a miracle to get up, as you do, in fact, in front of an audience and presume that you're going to say something that's going to make them laugh, or if it's a drama, say something that'll make them cry or think or whatever, or distract them from their lives for an hour. I think it's a great privilege. In some ways, I think we're the luckiest people in the world. But the business has changed so much, even just since I started. I mean, my career started in '86. I think I've lived through, I think, 5 actors strikes, something like that, and of
Yeah.
course, Writers Guild strikes, and the technical different directors strikes and all of that stuff. And I cite that because after every single one of those strikes was
You've come through with something, right?
right, right,
Yeah.
and the business changed every time as a result, probably in ways that it needed to.
Right.
um, but it, I can remember the changes. I remember when VCRs came out and there were, everything was on, VHS, and now my kids don't even know what a VHS is. I shouldn't say that. They do, but
You should tell
just
them they're a band.
yeah, exactly. So through all of the changes and all of the ups and downs, and every actor has ups and downs. I've certainly had them. The last series I was on, as a regular, was The Good Fight, which was the spinoff of The Good Wife. Um, and that was a fantastic experience because it was in New York and I was living in New York and I got to be in New York and like the time that I spent on Spin City.
Right.
So, but yeah, the difference for me crystallized in working on The Good Wife, which was on CBS regular television, switching to The Good Fight, the sequel, which was streamed on Paramount Plus. And
Yeah.
it's sort of just uncharted territory. I think it kind of still is, really. There's, weirdness in the way the shows air, and you don't know. And so it's just sort of, I think the basic message here is you got to be flexible and patient, and
Yeah.
and keep your nose to the grindstone. I know plenty of people, and I'm sure you do too, who just sort of give up after a certain point.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I've given up on acting, but I thrive in stand up. Like
Yes.
I always think someone's gonna see me and say, "You want to do my show or movie," which is the goal. But I don't want to like audition. Like I hate auditioning.
Well, you know what though, Keith, the great thing about that is that's the way you're going to wind up with your own show one day.
Yeah,
I mean, you
and
that. I
you're
mean,
gonna be on my show if I
well,
ever
there
get a
you go.
show.
Hey,
Yeah,
bro, I'll be your wacky neighbor for 12
yeah,
seasons if you want.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I consider us friends, so I take
I
care of
do
my
too.
friend.
I do too. This is
Uh,
and once you mention Steve Weber, I'm like, okay, we're good to go, man.
yeah, I thought
We are
when I
good to go.
mentioned the dentist, I was good to go.
It's true. I shared that with you. I shared that moment with you, Keith, and I feel that we're bonded. We're connected, man.
We're connected. But what I was gonna say is if I ever become like a huge successful actor, my biggest fear would be not the fear of not getting work. My fear would be of I want to finish whatever project I'm doing because you never
Yeah,
know when you're going to die or whatever. And I think that that would be the worst thing of fearing is if you're filming like I don't know, The Godfather Part 2, you know what I
yeah,
mean? And you
yeah.
die in the middle of it. Like you just died in the middle of the best movie of all time. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like
right.
eh,
Well, the great thing about that, and I get that. The great thing about that, though, Keith, is you'll the movie itself when it comes out may bomb, but you'll be famous forever because you'll be the guy that died during Godfather 2. And also you'll have your stand up in the film, and people can go, comedian Keith, Reza, he was going to be huge, and they'll be talking about it for 60 years.
yeah. I'm excited to show you my special. I think you'll really dig
Oh
it.
yeah, man! Please, I would love to see it. I would love to see it. I was just watching because I really do love watching stand-ups. I was just watching Nikki Glazer on SNL the other night. She
Yeah.
was she was she was great.
Yeah, she's great. And then my last question for you, this has nothing to do about with you or your career,
Yeah.
but you spiritually and personally. Uh, I wanted to ask you if you were like an ice cream flavor, like from Ben and Jerry's, and you had like your own flavor and you can name yourself whatever you want, what would you name yourself and what kind of ice cream would you be?
Oh wow! Holy smokes! What a great question. Well, I love chocolate, and I am chocolate. So there's
Uh,
that. How about that? Chocolate, I am chocolate.
chocolate, I am chocolate.
Yeah, baby.
All right.
Yeah. Put some
Cool.
nuts in there, maybe some macadamia nuts.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
All
I
right.
get it. Wait, there you go. Chocolate, I, and M for macadamia. Chocolate,
Uh,
I am chocolate.
oh,
Come on, man. Come on.
Dude, we just did $1 million idea on Razor Rifts. This is
Let's
great.
do it. Let's
Uh,
do it.
well, where can the folks at home follow and support you? You got Instagram,
I'm on
Facebook.
Instagram. I am on Facebook. If you put my name in, I come up all sorts of places. My writing website is michaelboatman.us, although I haven't visited in a while. But you can find short stories and novels of mine. Just Google. I'm on Amazon. All of my books, all of my collections of short stories and things. I actually have a collection coming out hopefully before the end of 2026 called Across the Black Plains. It's based on a short story, a lot of stories, but based on this one particular short story of mine that was really popular online. I love westerns and I love the combination of like old westerns but with horror, like vampires
Yeah.
or whatever. I love that kind of mixing, and so those stories, that collection is going to be coming out sometime in 2026. But yeah, I'm
Well, let me know. I'll be the first one to buy it and support it, buddy.
all right,
So,
my friend. Thank you.
uh,
I appreciate that. And I
uh,
appreciate you having me on the show.
Oh, for sure. I would love to have you come back. You're good peeps.
Please
Uh,
do. Please
uh,
do.
all right. All right, guys. That was the episode. Subscribe, rate, review, and we'll see you guys next week on Reza Rifts.